What's up YouTube, Matt with Matt Builds coming at you with another video. Today we're going to be working on my 2019 Toyota Tacoma. I've done a few things to this truck since I've had it. If you guys want a detailed video on what's been done, let me know in the comments. I'll go over that. But today we're going to be focusing on the radio. The sound quality is not really good in these trucks. A lot of people upgrade the speakers and that sort of thing. I'm going to take a different approach. I'm going to upgrade the radio, see if we can get the wattage up to all the door speakers. We're going to add a subwoofer and an amplifier that's all built in, kind of compact, not taking up a whole lot of room in the rig, but we're going to try to just upgrade this sound quality by doing the radio and the speaker and the amp, and we'll see what we can get out of it. All right, you guys, first thing we're going to be installing is this Sony ES. It's XAV-9500ES. The specs on this thing, let's see here, flip this around. So there's the specs on this thing. 10.1 inch screen, single DIN, 720p, 55 watts times 4 channels. So we should be putting a good bit more volume to these speakers, and hopefully it's going to increase that. The subwoofer and the amplifier we're going to be using is an Alpine PWE-S8. It's a 8-inch subwoofer with a built-in amplifier. Now these boxes are empty. I've already kind of went over everything, got some of this stuff pre-wired. Most of it's going to be plug and play, and I'll show you what I'm using as I go. But pretty much everything's going to be plug and play for the most part with the radio. And this radio is really cool. It has a lot of cool features on it. I'll try to go over some of that stuff, but we're going to be using a 600 watt amplifier installation kit for the subwoofer and amp, and we're also going to be installing, so this is something that I've kind of toyed around with the idea of. We're going to be installing a camera, but not for the back. We're going to be installing a camera for the front. One thing I can't stand is when I pull up in a parking place and I cannot see exactly where my front end is, and people around here always like to park like right up in front of you. So I would just like to be able to see, you know, where my bumper's at and everything exactly. So not to mention off-roading and that sort of thing. If you're in a tight spot trying to turn around on a back road or something, you might need to see where that tree is in front of you. So we're going to be installing this camera in the front end, and it will also, so this radio actually has multiple camera inputs. So we're going to run the factory backup camera through this, and it will be triggered by the reverse switch. But we're going to install this camera in the front, and this radio actually has an extra input, or actually it has 2 extra inputs. So we're going to be using one of those, and then it will actually feed the front camera when triggered through the actual radio. So hopefully everything's going to turn out pretty cool, but stay tuned. We're going to get on, well, I'm going to bring everything out and kind of show you what I've wired up so far, and then we're going to move inside the truck and carry on. All right, you guys, this is the Sony radio we're going to be installing. It is a 10.1 inch screen, so it's pretty good size. And on the box I was showing where it said single DIN. So those that aren't familiar with single DIN and double DINs, so a single DIN is just going to be your thin, kind of your old radio size. If you remember the older CD players and things like that, they were just real thin. Most of them now have a bigger screen, so they'll be this big. That would be a double DIN. So if anyone ever says double DIN, single DIN, you know the difference. So single DIN is a thin one. The double DIN is just going to be a bigger radio. And this is the amplifier that we're going to be putting in. It's a speaker and amplifier combo. So this one, and I'm up on the fence about this. This would be a subwoofer volume control. But the way I'm going to be hooking it up with the radio, really don't need this, because I'll be able to adjust the subwoofer volume through the radio. But I may still just plug it in and just play around with it, just see how things go. As far as the wire harness goes, so this radio would typically, or this subwoofer would typically be wired in with your speakers. So you'll have a gray and black wire, I believe, and a white and black wire. And those would be wired in. Let's see if I can get in here. There it goes. Those would be used to tap into like your speaker wires. We're not going to be using that. We're actually going to be using the RCA jacks that are right down here to transfer the sound from the radio to the amplifier. And then all we're going to have to hook up pretty much other than the RCAs, is the blue and white remote wire, which is going to be the power on. So whenever the radio comes on, it's going to tell the amplifier to turn on. The positive wire, which is going to run to the battery, and then the negative wire, which is just going to be ran to a ground inside the truck. So this should be a pretty simple install, but I'm going to carry you guys along on the journey the whole way. And now for the radio. So this looks really overwhelming. So we got a lot of stuff going on here, but I'm going to tell you, it really simplifies things using the wiring harnesses and the way I'm going about this. I'm going to go real quick, step by step, and kind of show you what each thing is, and hopefully that'll bring it into perspective as to, you know, this is really not as complicated as it looks. So the first thing is, this is already wired into the back of the radio right here. This is actually connected to your USB-C. This would be if you need to plug a phone up or what have you, updates, that sort of thing. So we are going to run this into the truck. We're probably just going to drop it in the glove box because this thing's Bluetooth and I'm really not going to need it. It's got Android CarPlay or Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so I'm not going to really need to plug a phone up. So basically this is just going to be for doing any updates or that sort of thing. We're going to be using a Maestro iDatalink module, and basically this right here is the ticket. This simplifies everything. This radio, it does a lot. It ties your gauges into your radio. You can pull engine codes if you have check engine lights. You can pull data codes or engine codes and that sort of thing. I mean, this radio will do a lot, and this simplifies everything. So basically this is the adapter cord for the Sony radio to the iDatalink cable harness for my truck. We got a data cable that is running. I'll try to keep my hands out of the way. We got a data cable that's running to it, a couple of harnesses, and when you buy one of these Maestros, you actually plug it into your computer and you register it to the radio itself. And when you upload your vehicle that you're going to be putting it in, what harnesses you're going to be using on it, or it actually will tell you what harnesses it recommends to use for it to make things much simpler. But when you use this thing right here, this Maestro, and it actually gives you the instructions to do everything. It gives you a wiring diagram, what harnesses you need to plug up to where. I mean, this stuff, check these people out. This video is not sponsored. I wish it was. But check this stuff out. I mean, it really makes life much easier. These wiring harnesses right here are going to be for the Toyota radio. This is what will be plugging into the factory harnesses right here. This is going to be my blue wire that's going to run to my amplifier for my remote wire that will turn the amplifier on when the car's on or the truck's on. We do have a power antenna, so we're going to need a power antenna adapter, which is this right here. It wires into the iDatalink harness and plugs into the back of the radio. I was telling you earlier about the RCAs that you have and the extra inputs for cameras. So I've just kind of bundled everything up and taped it all up. But as you can see, I mean, you have a lot of options with this radio. I'm going to be using these. So this is my subwoofer outs, my RCAs that will run to my Alpine. This is going to be for the factory backup camera. So when I back up or put it in reverse, it will still actuate that rear camera. This is going to be for my front facing camera. This is the harness that's going to be ran for it right here. This is going to be the mic. So for using it, you know, as a phone, wireless talking, that sort of thing. And then we have the GPS module. That's pretty much it. It's not as complicated as it looks. So we're going to move to the inside and I'll pick back up there. All right, you guys, we're inside the truck here. So we're going to start disassembling the dash. And from what I gather, it's pretty simple. Just pop this trim piece off. And we should be able to take the radio out there. I hit the flashers. So we should have, should have 2 screws on each side. should have 2 screws on each side. And once we get the factory radio out, we'll get the factory harnesses out, and then we will start plugging up those new harnesses. Alright, so I do want to show you guys this real quick. I was telling you earlier that when you plug your Maestro into the computer, it will actually give you step-by-step instructions on how to wire everything. I went ahead and printed these off. So this is for a, show you, Toyota Tacoma without JBL 2016 to 2019. So this is pretty much your wiring. So if you were going to do it the old-fashioned way, this would be all the wires that you would cut and splice. But since I'm using the Maestro wiring harness and everything, everything is pretty much just plug and play. Just follow the steps. And these are the wiring harnesses that you will not use. And then it actually gives you installation instructions. So really nice stuff here, guys. If you're interested in doing anything like this and you want to try to do it yourself, check these guys out. All right, you guys, everything's wired. Got the Maestro. Let's see if I can get down in there and show you. There it is. She's down in the bottom down there. But anyways, everything's wired up and ready to go. Pretty much now it's just going to be adjusting and fitting the radio, the screen and everything where I want it. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring the screen all the way up and leave this cubby exposed, or if I'm just going to kind of bring the screen down and just let it cover everything. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to play around with it off camera and see how it looks, and I'll decide then. I did mount the USB-C plug inside the glove box right there. So it's just kind of inconspicuous out of the way, and if I need to do anything, it's still right there where I can access it. And I do still have some wires I need to pull down here for the RCAs for the amp and that sort of thing. But other than that, we're going to fit the screen and we'll be ready to turn her on. All right, you guys, I'm thinking I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to pull this plastic off in a minute, but I think I'm going to leave it right here where the cubby hole is exposed, so I can still use that, you know, just for some storage and stuff. But we got everything back together, and let's see what she does. All right, so let's see here. English. Demo mode, and we're going to set the time and date. So today is the 9th. Alright, I'll set the time. It's 7:48. PM. Alright. And there we go, guys. She is ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook up the amplifier and the speaker and everything, and come back with you guys. Once I'm gonna go ahead and I got some screws to attach on the back and some trim pieces to put down, and then I'll pull this plastic off, and you'll have a little bit better view of the screen. But yeah, that's it. All right, you guys, we got everything finished up. Got the amp and the sub mounted back here in the back. Not sure that I want it right where it is. I just kind of mounted it there. I still need to do a little bit of adjusting on the amp there, but if I want to stand it up, but if I stand it up, then I won't be able to get to the adjustment screws on the bottom and everything. So we're going to give it a little bit, let the subwoofer kind of break in, and then I'll do some final adjustments and actually probably stand the subwoofer up instead of having it laying down right here. But we got everything kind of tucked away nice and neat all the way up front. Got the let's show you, got the power cable ran through the factory boot, through the firewall. Got this just zip tied here for right now. I'm not sure exactly where I want to mount this, but that holds it for right now. Wired to the battery. The wires for the front camera, I haven't exactly figured out how I want to do that yet. So it's just kind of zip tied and tucked in there for right now. And we'll get to that in a later video. I'm gonna move inside real quick and just kind of show you some of the features on this radio, and then we're gonna end this one. All right, you guys, here she is. Everything's hooked up. I got it radio muted so that I don't get any copyrights, but so yeah, basically your Bluetooth, it's Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. One thing I do like about this, so if you are pulling a trailer or anything like that, I do haul stuff, and I like to be able to see the load that I'm hauling, and I don't have tow mirrors or anything, so this is a really awesome feature, just to be able to see that rear camera. Camera one is going to be the front camera, but this is really neat also. So it shows all your gauges. It'll display everything up there. There's a lot of options when it comes to your gauges. You can actually set each one of your gauges and what you want them to do. I mean, it is just, let's see, oh, let's see here. There you go. Let's see. So, I mean, it's just unbelievable the amount of stuff that you can put on these gauges here. Really neat stuff. Also, I believe I was saying in one of the other earlier videos, see, it shows the hood's open, the door's open, the battery voltage. I mean, there's really a lot of options on this radio here, and I know I'm not showing them all, but anyways, if you guys are interested in this radio, check it out. It's the Sony 9500ES series. I'll try to put the make and model and everything in the description down below, but yeah, check them out. iDatalink cables and the Maestro made everything really easy for hooking up. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching.